Well, it's been a long time, but we're back for one of our favorite shows of the entire year during one of our favorite times of the year when it's time for college football again, particularly here in the Southeastern Conference. Welcome to the 2024 SEC Prediction Show. Welcome one, welcome all back to DDS, back in the saddle. Newberry, it's nice and it's starting to get a little cooler. It's still hot as balls, but every now and then we kind of get a reminder that it's almost fall. It's almost football time here in the Southeast.
Boy, Tennessee weather can trick you. It can be 78 degrees one day, 98 degrees the next day. And there are a lot of SEC teams that can trick you. We'll talk about that and more on this podcast.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to it. Glad you guys could join us today. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Comment down below. Tell us what you think of what we come up with here. We're going to kind of give you our take here on the SEC. Newberry, there's a different look to the SEC this year.
There is. No more are the East and West conferences. We're going to play it straight up with all 16 teams.
Yep.
The top two teams will meet in Atlanta for the SEC title game. We could see Florida and Tennessee in the SEC. We won't, but we could.
You're going to see also kind of as we go through this, I mean, the SEC schedules this year, because of the no East and West and the addition of the Longhorns and the Sooners, I mean, the schedules in the SEC truly are something to behold. I don't know that it's not out of the question to potentially say that there could be 4 teams from the SEC that are at the top that might be thinking they're deserving of a college football playoff position.
I mean, why not? They are the best conference in college football.
I think that the argument is there. I don't disagree with it. I think that this could actually lead to college football expanding even farther. But
so you mentioned some storylines, okay?
Yeah.
Before we jump into these predictions.
Yeah.
We got the scheduling.
Yep.
We've got the busting up of the East and the West.
Yep.
Texas, Oklahoma entered.
Mm-hmm.
What about legendary coach Nick Saban is not here? What's the SEC going to look like without the GOAT?
I mean, I think a lot of college football fans, they don't know college football without Nick Saban, right? It's a different landscape now. And now we've got NIL. Now we've got the transfer portal. Lots of moving and shaking around the SEC. It's going to be interesting to see some of these teams play and just see the kind of the parity that we have this year.
And maybe we'll answer a little bit later. Can Georgia win 3 national titles in 4 years?
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But we're going to start off right here at home. West End, Nashville, Tennessee.
We will. Yes, we will.
The Vanderbilt Commodores last year, they amassed 2 big victories. Coach Clark Lee, I think he's the right fit because he actually wants to be there.
I would agree.
We've talked for years. You can go back into the history in our podcast. We've talked for years. Well, what about the facilities, man? He's just not going to get the players until they do something with that horrid stadium.
No, and I mean, look, the biggest draw that he has, obviously, is the city of Nashville. Everybody wants to come to Nashville. Nashville's a great place to be, really happening town, but you go to Vanderbilt's football stadium, and it is just a disappointment.
It's gross. The hot chocolate's gross. The atmosphere is gross.
I like to say that Tennessee fans actually like it because it's an easy way for them to get a cheap ticket to go see a Tennessee game. Yep. Because they can go to a game here in Nashville. But, I mean, for all you Texas people out there, this stadium probably is worse than most of your high school stadiums.
Oh,
it's absolutely awful. It's embarrassing that an SEC founding member, as Parker has brought up in the past, has facilities that honestly have to be a huge turnoff for any kind of recruiting situation that they have. And it's not like they don't have the money. That's the frustrating part. It's one of the more expensive schools in the SEC to get into. So,
all right. So we're tasked with the job of trying to find W's on their 2024 schedule. Blake, let's go to the schedule.
I mean, W's here are not very easy to find here. I mean, we're sitting here looking at this schedule, starting off at Virginia Tech. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. I don't care how good or bad Virginia Tech is. I just don't see it happening. Alcorn State, Georgia State. You hope that really and truly, just by virtue of being a Power 5 conference, that they can pull those out. So you see two there. You get into
maybe
the
a couple of toss-up games.
This is the thing here.
Yeah.
We get in the middle of the schedule. The thing is Clark Lee, he believes in Vandy. He's a Vandy guy. We've talked about it. He's the guy that wants to be there. He's kind of a fiery guy too. We look at these teams, and we're going to get into some of these other teams later, but we're looking at these Kentuckys, and we're looking at the South Carolinas.
What about Florida?
Could they pull?
Sure.
I mean, look,
Florida.
That's another one on the list, but it's like right there in the middle of the schedule there. Can they pull off an upset? It could be something that they could use to build on for future for recruiting purposes and just in the future of this program in 2024. I mean, I'm not going to give my record just yet, but give me your thoughts.
Quickly, I'm just going to go 4-8.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're not going to pull out any of those. I'm going 3-9.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But, I mean,
we'll see.
It is what it is, right?
No bowl games.
No bowl games at all.
All right, next team that we'll discuss, Mississippi State and their coach, Jeff Lebby. Last year, they won 5 games, just missing a playoff berth there. A lot of unknowns with Mississippi State. As we sit here in Tennessee, they're going to have to heavily lean on this transfer portal, see what they can kind of piecemeal together. And, of course, again, we're tasked to try to find wins on this 2024 schedule for Mississippi State. What do you see in the lineup?
So, they start the year off Eastern Kentucky and Arizona State. I think that those are.
But that says at Arizona State. I'd say watch out for that.
I'm kind of concerned about Arizona State. Obviously, Eastern Kentucky, I'm not really that worried about. So Arizona State is probably kind of a toss up for me. Toledo.
They get Florida at home.
They do get Florida at home, and we'll talk more about Florida. Florida's not going to have that great of a year this year, I don't think. But then they're going into Murderers Row, Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M.
They got to beat Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And UMass?
I mean, maybe, right? I mean, I so far I've only seen 2 guaranteed wins here, and I see Massachusetts for 3.
Well, they won 5 last year.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're probably going to pick up one more. This is a rough year for them. I've got them going 4-8.
I have the same.
So,
we're both going 4-8 for Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Next team that we're going to discuss, a team that I was bullish on last year. If you want to go back and listen, I think he's even cutting up a new pod for us, a little prediction whammies, highlights from last year.
Why don't we just go take a visit back on memory lane here?
This is Arkansas Razorbacks.
Little 50-second clip here of what Mr. Bradley Newberry over here had to say about Arkansas last year.
I believed.
Let's see.
Newberry sees with Arkansas is they had a stretch of 3 games last year, A&M, LSU, and Missouri, where they lost by a combined 7 points. If you can gel the defense, you're going to get to this win total I'm giving you. I'm going 9 wins for Arkansas.
It's bold.
Baby. 9.
Woo pig suey, says
9.
Newberry.
I can see it, man. I see it. Now go do it on defense.
Man. Okay. Someone timestamp that one.
Yeah, no. When they come,
I called out Minnesota last year. I'm calling you out, Arkansas.
When Western Carolina hangs 40 on them, I'm waiting for this one.
Maybe. I'm rolling the dice. The dice came up.
Oh,
wrong.
Parker dropping the bomb on him about Western Carolina dropping 40 on him.
Jeez.
That's great.
Well, they got Coach Bobby Petrino there trying to figure out what they can do.
What
but-
did they now? Wait, where did they end up last year?
Oh, man, they won 4 games.
Oh, you mean they
4.
didn't make it to 9? Oh man, that's
No,
tough. That's a tough look.
Didn't even make it to half of 9. So-
Jeez. All right. Well, we got the schedule pulled up
Yeah.
here. Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a heck of a way to start
dub.
there. That's got to be a dub here.
UAB. It's got to be
Yep.
a dub. You got to
Yep.
get it. Uh-oh.
Now again, here we go. This is what we're talking about here in the SEC. The scheduling is rough. They go Auburn, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas, and then they round out the year with Louisiana Tech and Missouri. On that schedule, I really only see 3-ish, maybe, games that they should win for sure.
I took the over the ish, and I'm officially going 4-8. I don't believe in you anymore.
Did I hear Bobby Petrino's back as OC?
Bobby Petrino is
OC?
the head coach.
So, excuse me, I
The
said
HC.
OC. I said HC,
Yeah.
not OC. So my thing is, I think he'll be able to, he's a name, right? And he's known for offensive stuff. It's going to be a rough year. Can he scheme something up and maybe steal a game or two?
Where? We're looking at it.
Maybe. I don't know. Look, he's not going to a bowl game. It's a 5-7 team for me.
Arkansas fans, tell us in the comments below, where do you see that they can steal one?
I think
At
Mississippi
home
State
against
would be
UT,
stealing.
at home against
I think
LSU.
You never know. They might steal that Mississippi State game there. I don't know. I'm looking at this game here in Missouri. We'll get to talking here in a minute about Missouri. Don't worry. That's a key game there. It's possible, but I'm going to say they're going to go 5-7.
All right. We're moving on to a team that won 5 games last year. South Carolina and the Gamecocks behind Coach Shane Beamer.
Beamer ball,
Quarterback Spencer Rattler.
the rattlesnake.
No longer there. He is playing as we speak in preseason football for the New Orleans Saints. What do they do at QB is going to be the question. They bring in from the transfer portal Rocket Sanders, who I loved at Arkansas. Maybe he's a curse.
Yep. Look out.
Their defense should be okay. They're going to have to lean on that D, maybe lean on the running game.
Yeah.
But what can they cook up with all this question mark stuff at QB? I see Robbie Ashford and Lenore Sellers.
I mean, we got the schedule pulled up here. This is going to be a long year, really, really long year. Difficult schedule. Once again, very similar theme to a lot of teams. A lot of question marks. Who's going to be the quarterback? I don't really know the answer to any of these, but I mean, whenever you look at from game 2, I mean, all the way down to week 8 against Texas A&M, I mean, you're facing, what is that? 5 out of those 6 weeks, you're facing a top 25 team, and then you take a break on Vanderbilt, and then you got Missouri, then you take a break on Wofford, then you got Clemson.
They could be on a 3-0 stretch headed to that Clemson matchup, their rivalry game.
Now, well, I mean, so this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I don't have much hope for them here in the first half, right? I see 2 wins here, right?
Okay.
That's all I see.
Old Dominion and Akron. You're
Right.
giving them those.
Right. I think this Kentucky game actually is probably going to be pretty close.
Oh, it's Kroger
we'll see.
Field, though.
You're right. But once they get past this Texas A&M game, you mentioned it. Vanderbilt, Missouri, Wofford, Clemson. They're not going to win that game. I'm sorry.
Oh, it'll be close.
But could they make a little run right there?
They'll need it to get to the
they
bowl.
have to be able to get to a bowl. They may win one of them. I don't think they're going to win 3 of them. I've got them going 4-8 also.
I've got them just missing 5-7. I think it's all on the line in the final week in the rivalry game. So, yeah, I say they just miss 5-7 for South Carolina.
Nice.
All right. So this next team, that's on the docket is a team that, like the Tennessee weather, has been fooling us for seasons. Coach Jimbo Fisher's out.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Coach Mike Elko. They actually get a scheduling break. I mean, we've been talking about some rough scheduling, but listen to this. They get Notre Dame at home, LSU at home, Texas at home. Not saying that those are easy teams to play, but at least they're getting to play them not on the road.
Yeah, this is I actually realized that I didn't really make any notes here, so I'm doing this one on the fly here. Yeah.
Look at that. At home against Notre Dame.
Ugh.
They could get it. Jump on them.
I don't know, man.
We just
That's a
watched
hard
Georgia
sell.
Tech beat Florida State. Jump on them early. Let's go.
I mean, this first game is gonna kind of tell you how the year is gonna go. I feel like for Texas A&M,
Could they possibly go 4-5-0? Look at that.
they could be. They could be.
Wow.
I think they're at worst. They
4-1?
4-1 going into the Missouri game.
Ooh.
Questionable whether
don't
the
even like
Missouri
Missouri.
game is really even a worry.
6. So you could be like 6-0,
Right.
7-0.
Could be a 7-0 situation
Heading
here.
into
You could be
at home.
6-1 here.
7-0
Going
at
into
home against
LSU.
at home. They went 8-0, 9-0, 10-0. Look out. They could be 10-0.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think they're going to be 10-0. I think that they're probably going to lose a game they shouldn't lose.
Florida.
I think Florida is
At
one of
Florida.
those potential games there.
They could get caught in the swamp.
I feel like this game right here,
At South
that's
Carolina?
one of those games that we talked about with South Carolina.
Ooh, especially if they make that a
It's
night game.
at South Carolina. That's a really tricky one. See, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna say they're a 7-5 team
I could
this
see
year.
that.
I'm going
I
7-5.
I think they're bowling.
I think so too.
I don't know that I want to say 9 like I did Arkansas last year.
Oh yeah. But speaking of what we said last year,
Oh,
we have kind of a running thing
About Texas
around dudes discussing sports. We have this thing about you better keep your coaches' names out of our mouth.
something bad might happen. Or it
Yes.
usually always happens.
It almost always does. We don't say it for no reason. Sometimes daddy gets a feeling. Sometimes we all get these feelings. Last year, well, you just take a listen.
Only 2-6 in SEC play. Coach Jimbo Fisher got paid the bag. But what has he done with his squad since getting the huge 10-year extension?
Jack shit. That's what he's done. All these high recruiting classes, they've amounted to exactly nothing, in my opinion. All that it has done is just it's made them inherit a more expensive version of Kevin Sumlin. Jimbo Fisher might be the biggest fraud in all of college football. I mean, to promise so much, to negotiate such a huge contract with no results to back it up whatsoever, and now to just be standing there holding the noose over the university's head and saying, basically waving it around and saying, you can't fire me anyway. So,
Like, I'm out. I don't care what the buyout is. Jimbo needs to be fired if he doesn't completely give up play calling duties and win 9 games. If he wins 8 games, done. Be out. I don't care. This team should be better. Texas is about to come into this conference and put Jimbo over the knee and just destroy him and end their recruiting.
Jimbo Fisher, take your $80 million and leave, buddy. You're a 5-7 team. Boy, oh boy, you had better keep your coaches' names out of our mouth. Look, I fell victim personally to the hype of Jimbo Fisher for a long time. And you know what? It all comes back around, doesn't it? He gone. It doesn't matter how much it costs. When you're that bad, you got to be able to at least put something on the board here.
Did you just say they were a 5-7 team? That'd make you absolutely correct. That's what they were. But we're seeing a little more hope, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just so unknown we don't really know. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt
Right.
with a new start. We're both going 7-5.
I guess so. I guess so.
Next team, we're going to Alabama, but we're going to Auburn. in the state of
Mm.
Alabama behind Coach Hugh Freeze. Last year, they won 6 games. They still have quarterback Peyton Thorne. Thanks to Auburn and Peyton, they were the worst passing offense in the SEC, only averaging 162 yards per game. I don't see how they get the passing game any better. They're going to have to lean on defense and their running attack.
Yeah, I still don't think it's quite time for Auburn to really kind of arrive with Hugh Freeze. I mean, he's got to get his sea legs about him here. He's got to get some recruits in there. Let's just call it what it is. He's an offensive minded guy, and he's got to get out there, and he's got to show that he can turn a quarterback around. I'm hoping that maybe Thorne is this guy. Looking at their schedule, I mean, right there in the middle, you got that Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri. Is Missouri for real? I don't know.
At Kroger Field.
As far as SEC schedules go, this is pretty light.
Looks pretty light.
Right? I mean, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-0 potentially going into Oklahoma. I mean, then you go Oklahoma, Georgia.
They're all at home. Why couldn't they beat Oklahoma?
Yeah, then they're at
5-0.
Yeah, at Georgia.
Oof.
At Missouri. I don't know if I really care about that. At Kroger Field in Kentucky.
Ooh. But look, they get Texas A&M at home before the rivalry game.
I'm going to sit here and say that they're probably another 7-5 team. I think there's a chance that they only go 6-6, but I think they might pull. I'm still not really. This whole Missouri thing, it doesn't really scare me very much.
I've got Auburn down as a potential spoiler team. They could spoil one of these, probably Missouri. They could spoil someone's season.
They could. They're one of those teams, right? And that's kind of Hugh Freeze's thing. Like, he beats somebody throughout the year that he's probably not supposed to beat. I don't think it's going to be Oklahoma, Georgia.
Here's what
this game against Alabama has me intrigued a little bit, quite frankly.
Here's what I'm going to do. California win. New Mexico win. Arkansas win. Oklahoma win.
Oh, boy.
Welcome
to the SEC, Oklahoma.
Could this be my Arkansas pick? I'm going 5-0 start. I can't see them winning at Georgia, but they get back on the win.
Mm-hmm.
They win at Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So is that 6-1?
Mm-hmm.
They lose at Kentucky.
Okay.
Nobody gets out of Kroger Field alive. 6-2. They come home and they play Vanderbilt. They're going to lose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're going to lose to Vanderbilt because of the shock from Kentucky.
Little hangover effect.
And then I think they get their homecoming. I'm assuming that's a homecoming game. They're going to win.
Yeah, you would think.
And then they're going to take 2 more losses. So what was that? 7-5?
Yeah.
7-5.
Yeah.
I can see a 7-5.
I
might not have gotten it correctly right, but I'm going 7 wins.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued by this last game here, the Iron Bowl at the end of the year, man. I'm still kind of intrigued by it, but we'll see.
And
we'll
Texas
see.
A&M may have already laid an egg by then. They may have been. They may be quit.
You never know at this level.
All right. So another spoiler alert team that we have listed. One of our favorite teams to talk about. One of our favorite fan bases to interact with in the comment sections below. The Kentucky Wildcats. Last year, behind Coach Bob Stoops, they won 7 games, went bowling. I think there were a lot of us on the panel that didn't want to see them in bowl games.
Nope.
They earned it. They're going to have questions at quarterback this year. Transfer from Georgia, Brock Vandagriff. We know nothing about him because the past 2 Georgia quarterbacks have been there for what seems like a decade, 12 years.
Yep.
I know nothing about him. What about former Buckeye Chip Trayanum from Ohio State?
I don't know who that is.
Wide receivers are underrated, but can Brock get them the rock? I like their defense, though. They're sneaky good. They have an NFL prospect, Deion Walker. He's 6'6", 345. He's a beast. I like their defense.
I know, man, but it's like, are they gonna score touchdowns for them? You know,
their schedule's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but look, it's This is horrible. This is where we get in trouble every year, Newberry. They're still they're still Kentucky. They're still Kentucky. They're going to have a Kentucky moment a time or two throughout this year.
But if you're showing this schedule live, we see a bunch of home games.
I do.
Count them. 1,
2,
2-0,
3.
Oh, that's not a
4.
win. No,
I'm going to
they can
say
stay 3-1, 2-2 at worst.
yeah. I'm going to say they're probably 3-1 with the first 4 games.
They're going to get blasted at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think that's 3-2 right there.
And then my thing is with these next two,
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt, I'm not counting that as an automatic win, just like the last team that we talked about. Can they get back up after getting blasted at Ole Miss?
I think they can. I think that's a red ass game, is what that is.
But then if they do, they're going to go down to Florida.
But the other thing is exactly that. Are they looking at this game? Because there's one place that I will give Mark Stoops some credit for. He likes to go and whip Florida's ass in their own stadium. He loves going down there.
Both of those teams may be riddled with injuries.
So the question is does he go
light in Vanderbilt?
Well, but does he go 3 wins in a row here? Is that
I don't know.
Is that going to happen? If that happens, that's bad news for Tennessee.
No, it's not. Because it's at Tennessee, they're going to have the big fat head, and they're going to get blown out, just like they got blown out.
Look, guys, I think this team is a 7-5 team. Period. I think that they're going to potentially lose a game that they should not lose somewhere in here, and they could have a major, like this Louisville game. They may get their brains beat in by Texas, and then have to come here to Louisville.
But that's a rivalry game. Surely they get up for that.
Come on. I'm just saying, could this be a Kentucky moment to end the year?
Kentucky fans, I'm putting you in a bowl game, but at 6-6, and tell me why I'm wrong. I love your defense. I know nothing about Brock Vandergrift.
Nope. I don't know who
and
that
can he
is.
get your playmakers the ball? I said it. Your wide receivers are underrated, but you gotta be able to get them the Brock. Brock, get them the rock.
Brock has got to get them the rock.
I'm not trusting it. That's why I'm going 6-6.
All right. I could see that. I was a little generous with mine. Remember that down there in the comments section. Give us a comment so far. What do you think how we're doing so far?
All right. This is tough for me. This
is going to be tough.
This is the team that I have followed my entire life. The Florida Gators, led again by Coach Billy Napier. He only won 5 games at the University of Florida last year. He sports an overall record at Florida of 11-14. 3, if this happens again, listen to this stat I found. 3 straight losing seasons at the University of Florida has not happened since the 1940s. And they're on the cusp, easily on the cusp of another losing season. Because if you show this schedule to our fine people, it's not going to be easy to find dubs.
No, it is not. Let's go ahead and take a look here. They're starting off down there in South Beach. No, they're not. They're playing
at
Miami.
Home.
They're at home, actually. I'm wrong. There's not. This is one of the harder schedules that you're going to see this entire. It may be the hardest schedule. I can't really think off the top of my head who's got a harder schedule than this.
It says 6 teams.
Maybe Georgia.
They're playing in 6 games against teams that finished in the top 17 last year.
Yeah, this is a tough one right here. I mean, they're going to be very front end weighted on any wins that they're going to get at all. You said that 3 straight losing seasons hadn't happened since the 1940s. Well, you might as well get ready to rewrite the record book, buddy. Because I'm telling you right now, it's happening this year. I heard a Florida Gator sports pundit actually say that the Gators were only going to win 2 games this year. I'm not going that far, but it's going to be a really, really long year.
So my thing,
I don't know. Do you know anything about who they have at the quarter? Well, obviously, Graham Mertz.
We have I'll tell you, we have the most efficient quarterback in all of the SEC.
Yeah.
with the Florida Gators.
Yeah.
Graham Mertz, he sported an SEC best 73% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns to only 3 picks. He is their only hope. He's got to stay healthy.
You got anybody to throw to?
Yes.
Got anybody to run the ball for him?
Yeah,
Anybody, maybe
He's got
blocking. I don't know.
He's got Montrell Johnson back after he's still there. Losing Trevor Etienne to Georgia.
It's a huge
was
loss.
Some bullshit. Sophomore wide receiver Eugene Wilson still there. That's kind of the offense, but that can't carry him because my favorite side of the ball, their defense. Listen to this.
Oh boy,
the Florida defense allowed over 38 points per game in their last 5 games last year.
Oh no!
And if you look at their last 5 games this year, they could do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Over 38
offensive-minded teams.
Yikes!
Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Oh my goodness! I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think they go 4-8, and I'm going to tell you right now. If they go 4-8, I'm not sure Billy Napier sees the end of this season. Tell me what you think about that. Your coach's name just got mentioned on our show. I mean, can someone please make me see how he sees the end of the year? If he leads them down this road, if they get to this Kentucky game and they lose that Kentucky game
at home,
you think he's going to finish the year?
There's only so long you can hang your hat on. I'm a great recruiter. I don't
know that that's true though.
Show me the money.
I don't know that that's true though. I mean, I have said over and over and over again on this show, he is nothing but a glorified Butch Jones. Butch Jones was a great recruiter. But I think
you went 4-8.
I went 4-8.
What happens if I say they're going to go 8-4? Here's my thing. Here's my official pick. The Florida Gators are going 5-7, and Coach Napier, you're fired. Thanks for getting us the recruits.
Oh
Coach.
My goodness. Well, I don't disagree with you there. That would not surprise me one bit.
Here comes one of your favorite teams to shoot the bull about. The Missouri Tigers, old Mizzou. Eli Drinkwitz. Last year, we were completely wrong. We apologized if there are any Missouri Tiger fans out there.
That's a big if.
They won 10 games. We didn't even know if they would make it to a bowl game. They still have their quarterback, and Brady let him cook.
Jeez, dude.
And they've got a wide receiver, All-American, Luther Burden III. What's their schedule even look like? Can we get them back to 10 wins again in this new SEC?
Oh, Missouri. Let's take a look here. They start off
looks soft.
Yeah. So this is the thing.
Look at it.
Once I started actually doing my research, I started to realize why people think that they're going to end up so well. It's because their schedule is terrible as far as like it's so soft.
So Florida could actually be a better squad, but because of scheduling, it's going to look like Missouri's better.
And it could get their coach fired.
Already.
I mean, we've already said his name, so apparently he is getting fired.
Murray State.
1, 2,
Buffalo.
3, 4. 4-0 going to Texas A&M.
And toss-up
anything,
game.
And that's a toss-up game. I agree.
And then they come back with UMass? Oh, come on.
5 right here.
Toss
5-1 at worst coming into Auburn. They're going to win one of those games. That's 6.
They're not winning.
They're not winning that.
They're not winning.
Not winning that.
That's a rivalry game. A rivalry renewed.
I know.
Missouri, Oklahoma.
I'm not so sure that they don't win. They don't play that close.
It's at home.
I think that's closer to a toss-up than people think.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina.
I don't think Mississippi State's going to be any good. I don't think Arkansas is going to be good.
I mean,
wow. Just thanks to scheduling.
They're
going to roll off some wins.
They could get up to – I could see them getting, 9 wins?
Jeez.
but I think they're going to have some Missouri moments. I think that Brady Cook, the kid's got moxie, right? He plays hard. I think he's he's probably what every coach wants as far as his effort level. But at some point, it all has to come back to roost. And I think at some point they're going to have a moment where they're going to lose a game. They may not win some of these toss-up games. They may not win the Texas A&M game. Probably not going to win the Oklahoma game, but that may be a closer game. But I just don't think they're going to win it. South Carolina.
So if you go down the schedule and get to 10, you're saying, hey, there's got to be some room for error and bring it back down.
Look, this is one of those schedules that could go anywhere from 8-4 to 10-2. I'm just saying.
So you're going in the middle, 9? He doesn't want to say Missouri would 9 wins. That's what he's going to go.
I think it's the right thing to do, though. It's 9.
Wins.
It's 9-3. It's 9-3. What do you say?
I'm going to go 8-4 and hope that it's 5-7. There's no way they win 5 games, right?
I mean, you wouldn't think so.
I think they're going to get at least 8. I'll go 8.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
I still don't think
It
you're
wouldn't
good,
surprise me.
even with
No.
8 wins.
It's just you're playing, the first 4 games of the year. I mean, you're just hoping no one gets hurt.
I wish my team had this type of schedule.
My thing is, what happens if, you know what? I don't want to say if Brady Cooks gets hurt because I don't want to ever wish someone to get hurt.
That's
But
all right.
if
He's got that backup quarterback would have the schedule to get good with Missouri and leaning on their defense.
It's very true. It's very true. It could be a Cinderella type story.
Mm-hmm.
Said, oh, well, you know what? We should play give everybody some context here because we were really hard on Missouri in the past, particularly last year. I start every single prediction show, I think, with this. Missouri should not be in the SEC.
But their pals, Oklahoma's coming soon. They're old friends.
Great. Bring Oklahoma State. We'll get rid of Missouri. I don't care. Missouri is a joke, in my opinion. I think that them and Vandy are going to be fighting it out for the bottom spot here in the SEC this year.
Quarterback, but they're just blah. Like they're I don't know anybody that cares about this team. I'm with Blake. I fought for this team to be kicked out of the SEC too.
That's it.
It's what they are.
I'm going 5 wins. Sorry.
I'm there with you.
I don't want to see you in another damn bowl game. I'm going 5.
5-7. I think they lose the tiebreaker to Vandy, and they're the bottom team.
Just for fun, I want to see them go 6-6-6. Let's give them 6.
Jeez, man. We went in hard. Clearly, we were wrong.
Yep. We admit when we're wrong.
Absolutely. Not going to sit here and say we get it right all the time, but they absolutely stepped up and did something way differently than they have been doing. So,
congratulations last year, but that was last year.
It was.
And they've earned somehow a weak schedule this year.
Yep.
We're going to talk to a newbie coming into the SEC, Oklahoma Sooners coach Brent Venables. Quarterback Jackson Arnold will lead this team on their initial voyage through the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Look, he's got time to ramp it up. Because as we take a look at this schedule, I see an easy 3-0, right?
Yeah.
And then a home game against Tennessee. So they got time to ramp it up and heading into that first SEC matchup, which they could easily win. They're at home.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lot of emotion around that with Josh Heupel returning to Oklahoma. So that is going to be an interesting game. It really is. We could be seeing or witnessing the birth of a new rivalry. But there's kind of one already there already from past games with Oklahoma, but now it's kind of getting a little bit more personal. So that's an interesting game. And it really is.
I call it the trap game at Auburn.
Yeah, could be. It really very well could be.
Then they get the Red River rivalry.
Yeah. I don't think
say shootout.
I don't know, man. But
Texas, oof.
That's going to be an ugly game for Oklahoma, unfortunately, I think.
I think you're going to beat South Carolina. Something about Ole Miss just says you're not going to win there.
Yeah, I know.
Maine, really? I didn't even know Maine had a football team.
Exactly. I forgot they were a state.
And then you got to beat Missouri. I know it's on the road, but you got to remind them who their daddy is. They've been hiding from you. They've been posing as an SEC power when they should have just stayed
Yep.
in your own conference.
You know, I look at the schedule and I really am hard pressed to find more than 7 wins, but I tend to want to say that they're 8-4, that they win one of those games. You know, is this game down here in Death Valley? Do they go into Death Valley and win? I think that's hard to do, right? It's supposed to be hard to do. Alabama, they might win that. We'll get there. We'll get there on that one. I don't know. We got 3 games here that they could. I think they may be able to steal one of those. I think this is an 8-4 team in their maiden voyage in the SEC.
I absolutely agree. I'll take 8-4 with you, and nothing else to say about Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Mother Sooner.
So, interesting team coming up next. Last year, this team won 10 times behind Coach Lane Kiffin. Talking about Ole Miss here. Returning is their quarterback, Jackson Dart. 3,364 yards, 23 touchdowns. The question mark will be, we know they can score. Their defense. Even Coach Kiffin said they're going to need to get bigger and stronger after they lost to Georgia 52-17. Did they get bigger and stronger? We'll see. Their offense will be there.
Yeah, the offense is always going to be there on a Lane Kiffin team. I continued to say that I think Lane Kiffin is one of the more underrated coaches. I don't know how that's possible in college football, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. We're looking at their schedule here. I think that there's a potential for a 7-0 start.
I was definitely saying 6.
Definitely 6. There's a potential for a 7-0 start here. There at LSU. That's going to be a big game there, but Lane Kiffin has been in plenty of big situations in his career, and I think if there's one person that can go into a hostile environment in Death Valley and pull out a victory, that would be him. I mean, and then there's this Oklahoma game where it's like, again, I don't really see them losing that game. Could they go 8-0 to start the season? Then they got Arkansas. That's got to be 9. I mean, then Georgia.
Oof, they can't. No.
And then Florida and Mississippi State.
They're not winning at the Swamp. Or maybe Florida's given up by then.
It's hard to say.
As a Florida fan, I want that game to mean something.
You would like.
I don't know that it will, but
yeah, dang. I mean,
I think Ole Miss might be looking at a little college playoff, maybe.
They're in the conversation. I think they're a 10-2 team. I think they might slip up against one of these teams, but I think that they are going to be in the conversation. I think there's going to be a whole host of teams that are going to be right there at the top of the SEC. They're going to be like, hey, what about me?
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be a hard conversation for the committee to have because we got the SEC now that's completely packed from top to bottom. How can you say the top? Could you have a 3 or 4 loss SEC team that might deserve to be in?
Could deserve, but they won't get in.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll let them in, but it's definitely spurs on a really interesting conversation. But I've got them going 10-2.
So what I don't see on this schedule, I don't see Texas. I don't see Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
My God, I'm gonna roll the dice with double-digit wins with you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go 10-2 with you.
Yep.
Why not?
I agree.
All right, it's time for the Homers team.
Oh boy.
We're going to Rocky Top. The UT Vols, some would say disappointed with 8 wins last year behind Coach Josh Heupel, your quarterback. The new era of quarterback. Nico, I'll let you go ahead and pronounce his name and give us some more details. I mean, the excitement is there in Knoxville. Will he be able to pay it off for all the fans?
Well, I mean, that's really what the whole season is hinging on right now is to see. I mean, it's Nico time, and it's time to put up or shut up.
His
really.
last name?
Eo Maliava. Eo Maliava.
It's Malay. I wrote it out. Nico Iya Malay Ava. A long A.
Whatever.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one to pronounce.
It's Nico.
Nico. We'll call him Nico. But
yeah.
man, they're ready. They're ready for the excitement.
anyways, I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, really kind of, you got the Oklahoma game that we already talked about. That's going to be a really big game.
What do you think about North Carolina State?
Not very much. That, in my mind, that's kind of a trap right there. I'm a little bit like, you kind of worry here when you go Chattanooga, North Carolina State, Kent State. Like, are we already looking 2 weeks ahead to Oklahoma? Hopefully not. Hopefully this is a veteran enough team to be able to stay focused here. But, you know, wide receiver room is really good for Tennessee. Nico, from the little bit we have seen, he looks like the real deal. I think this offense is going to look a whole lot more like the 2022 Vols offense than it did the 2023
Brew
offense.
McCoy returns. You
Brew
still have
McCoy,
Squirrel.
Brew McCoy has come back. He's a lot leaner, a lot lighter. Squirrel White's back. Deontay Thornton is back. We got some transfers in at the tight end position. We got some freshmen that are stepping up in the wide receiver position also. Running backs are still good there. Cam Seldon is there. We got a whole host of, I mean, the skill players are fantastic. Fantastic. Health-wise, we got to stay healthy. Offensive line, deeper than we've been in a while. That doesn't mean we're super deep, but it just means we're deeper than we've been. The defensive line should be elite.
It will be elite. And the player that we need to watch is edge rusher James Pierce Jr. He's going to be a high draft pick in the NFL.
I mean, there are a lot of people saying he's number one at the moment. They're saying he's the best player in the country at the moment, which is crazy because he kind of came on like a freaking like a storm last year.
All right. We need some storm.
But yeah, so again, the big question mark, as it seems to always be in college football in general, because there's just so very few of these teams that have a bunch of really good defensive backs all on one team. I think we have a few decent defensive backs. Can they play well as a unit? That's kind of going to be the question mark there for Tennessee this year. Back to their schedule, though.
But it's pretty favorable, it looks like.
It's not crazy like some of these other ones that we've seen. This is actually probably, if I had to be honest, probably on the lighter side. Maybe one of the lightest.
So what do you see?
I see what I see. I see
them.
I see double digits wins potentially.
If it is, then you're talking about a chance at the college playoffs.
There is a chance. Now, I'm going to tell you what my 10-2 prediction is hinging on. I think they either beat Oklahoma or Alabama. I'm not sure they can do both. I don't think they beat Georgia, but I think they run the table otherwise.
So you're going 10 wins?
I'm going 10-2, but it could be 9-3. Because it hinges on, I'm saying they're going to beat Oklahoma or Alabama.
Is it okay for me to be controversial?
No, I mean, look, there's other controversial games on the schedule. Like Florida's still a rivalry game for whatever reason. There's a mental block in Tennessee's head.
It shouldn't be, but
on paper, Florida should not be able to be on the same field as them. But we've seen that before.
This last year, how did Florida beat them?
I don't know. But see, there's other things in play here too. I could also see a scenario where we beat Oklahoma and we beat Alabama, but we lose to Florida. Because I'm not so sure Alabama's the Alabama of old.
Well, they're absolutely not.
We'll get into that.
We'll get there.
We will get into that later. But
all right,
I'm going to stick with 10-2. I think it could be as low as 9-3. But that's kind of where I'm going there. I'm not going to be upset with a 9-win season. I'll say that. I think an 8-win season is a little disappointing, but I don't think it's a reason to sound the alarm.
Yeah.
What say you, Mr. Florida Gator fan?
I think, because I don't know. I think that week 1 matchup, I don't know why it's standing out as tricky to me.
Chattanooga?
Sorry, week 2, North Carolina State.
Okay.
Not Chattanooga.
Yeah, it's in a neutral site. We don't really play that well in neutral site games. I'll give you that.
I'm not here to go chalk.
Okay.
7-5. for the UT.
That would be disappointing. That would be very disappointing.
But there's room for Nico to show me. That's what.
So you're saying he could potentially lose that game, Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Georgia.
That's fine.
Yeah. Man, there's a world where
That's
that
fine.
happens.
Those are the 5.
There's a world where I think that happens, but I don't think it's going to.
It probably won't.
I'm not anointing Nico just yet because I am a firm believer that we can talk all we want, but you got to go do it on the field. But we'll see.
But I like their schedule, though.
Absolutely. They
win.
got the schedule to do something.
They can win 10 games.
They have the schedule to do something. And if they win a couple games here or there, they could cement themselves into the college football playoff.
Yep. Now we're going to talk about the old guard. What are we going to see out of the University of Alabama? That is the question. Everyone is waiting, dying to see. They're going to try to answer this question with new head coach Kalen DeBoer. You have some nice words to say about Coach, right?
Look,
Whoa.
a lot of you on Instagram and TikTok and all these other social media platforms, y'all are ridiculous. All I'm saying
He
is,
wins everywhere.
look,
He's a winner.
Look, man, there's plenty of high school and junior college coaches out there, and there's nothing wrong with high school, junior college coaches that win everywhere they go to, but that doesn't mean that they need to be the head coach at University of Alabama. Did he win where he was? Where was he? Washington? Whatever. I don't know.
Michael Penix Jr.
Whatever, dude. It's fine. Is he ready for this? I'm not so sure. I think they settled for this one. I think they got into a situation where Nick Saban left and they thought that people would be banging on their door and no one came a knocking. That's what I think happened. It's my opinion. All you crazy assholes out there can light me up. I'm not an Auburn fan like a lot of you said I was. I am a Tennessee fan, which is way worse, I'm sure. And you're
see this T back
way worse, I'm sure, in your eyes. But it's just my observation. I could be completely wrong. I think that he's going to go through some growing pains this year, though. But before we get into this, got a little bit of tape here. We need to revisit what all of us said about Alabama last year. And I need y'all to keep this in mind. Who think I'm being too critical of Alabama, just take a listen.
Know why I would be high on them other than has no wide receivers, a team that may be undisciplined. I don't know why I would be high on them other than the fact of Nick Saban's name.
That's a big factor, though, historically, right?
The only thing that I know that they have going for them is defensive back Kool-Aid McKinstry.
You just like his name.
Hell yes, I do. I called it out his freshman year. All right, man. To me, between scheduling questions, Newberry doesn't go higher than 9 wins. I'm going 9-3.
That is insanity to me.
9. That's it.
Fucking insanity.
That's it. And they may win 8.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an Alabama fan, but don't believe the hype at LSU. This is the year that Nick Saban says, here's my dick. I'm going to put it right here on the table for everybody to see. 12-0.
Dude, before Parker goes, because apparently we were way different.
We're going to be way different at LSU and Alabama.
Okay, all right, here we go. So here's my thought. MTSU might scare the britches off of Alabama. Okay.
I have no idea what you have to base that.
You know why? I'll tell you, because they're looking ahead at week 2. Texas at Alabama. If they don't pay attention to little old Middle Tennessee State, like Miami didn't, they could start off 0-2. I'm just saying. On to you, Parker.
Oh, Blake, I'm just excited about this. This offense is going to suck. It's not going to be good. They're going to lose to Texas by 3 touchdowns. This team is going to win 8 games because they're going to be awful. Absolutely terrible.
Oh. Look,
hey.
Who knew you were a Bama fan?
That's fine. We'll just timestamp this. I'm happy to be wrong about this, but I just don't see it.
I mean, they've got MTSU. They've got Chattanooga. They got the UT Vols. They got Kentucky.
That might be 4 wins right there that you just said.
You just named 3 losses.
Oh.
And Kentucky's one of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
He said Kentucky. No.
Oh, now I want y'all to keep that in mind here. Whenever y'all are hating on me, y'all just need to go back and watch that tape. Remember who was talking sensibly. I'm just telling you what I see out here, guys. Let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the schedule here.
While it's pulling up, new coach.
Yep.
We got a new staff.
Yep.
Almost 40 players either left for the NFL or just left in the transfer portal.
Yep.
This will test the depth. This is going to test everything about Kalen DeBoer, an Alabama program.
It will. And look, I mean, it's not to mention that we're dealing with Jalen Milroe, which, look, I'm sure he's a great kid. I think he's probably a great guy. He's an incredible athlete, but I don't think there's any arguing that he struggles in certain systems. I'm not sure if this is the right system for him or not. I'm sure all of you have opinions about that, and I'm sure you won't be shy about sharing it with us. But I mean, it's kind of concerning. Yes, he's he's older and hopefully wiser, and he's might be able to adjust to this, but it's definitely going to make you question whether or not he's going to be able to handle a new system. I have a lot of questions about that. I know they've had a lot of losses in the transfer portal, like you said. And look, just the person, I know Nick Saban's going to be, guys, I know Nick Saban's still there, right? I got it, but he's not the guy anymore, right? So we were kind of losing discipline whenever Nick Saban was there at the end. What's going to happen with the new guy coming in and Nick Saban's not there to kind of crack the whip and bring everybody in? I don't know. I've got a lot of questions here about this Alabama team.
I see 3-0.
I do too.
Interesting that I don't know if I've ever seen Alabama at Wisconsin, whatever that is.
I have not, and I don't know that I've ever seen Alabama play Georgia that early in the season.
I think it'd just be rare that you see Alabama, Georgia anyway.
That's true.
Period. But
That's
with
true.
this
That
new
makes
SEC world,
I'm still trying to adjust to that. So 3 wins there.
Toss up. The I don't know game. They're going to come to Nashville and absolutely
destroy.
Roll.
Yep.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They're going to roll South Carolina.
Yep.
And then we get to your game.
Well, there's 3 games in a row. There's 3 games in a row here.
Nightmare Neyland.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
2. Last time they rolled up into Knoxville, they lost.
This is the thing. I know Tennessee lost to Alabama last year, but what you have to understand is Tennessee's no longer scared of Alabama.
No.
They know it can be done with this coach, and particularly with this quarterback that we have at Tennessee, who kind of mimics what we had in the 2022 season. So that's it's a rivalry game. I think at best you call that a toss-up game right there.
Okay. And then you could have the downer, the sandwich game.
Right.
At home against Missouri before you have to go to Death Valley.
Right. I mean, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU. I mean, that's regardless of what you think about Missouri in there, them being sandwiched in between Tennessee and LSU you're right. That sandwich game situation could be big there. Do they go 3-0 there? Do they go 2-1? Do they go 0-3? 0-3. I mean, that could be devastating. Then they go to Mercer. Obviously, that's going to be a win.
That's homecoming. Got to be.
So we have to
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's new.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's going to happen there.
I know. I see 5 guaranteed wins.
Oh, no. You're saying they might not make a bowl?
Well, I'm just going by. I'm going Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin,
3,
Vanderbilt,
4,
Mercer.
5.
Calling those games that if they lose any of those, Kalen DeBoer should be fired immediately, kind of thing.
Oh, they wouldn't. Would they really?
I mean, I'm just saying.
The only way he's canned is if Nick Saban says, I want to coach again. There's no other way.
I'm just saying.
No other way he
just
gets
saying.
canned.
You telling me that if they go to West End and they lose at Vanderbilt, that they're not going to have serious conversations about if they made a huge mistake?
They can have them.
Or if they lay an egg against Mercer.
I mean, that is fireable.
Yes. Thank you.
At home against Mercer. But we're not predicting that.
I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
No.
I'm saying that those are almost guaranteed wins. 5 wins there. Straight out of the back. So we look at the South Carolina game.
You're not going to look at Georgia? Is that a loss?
I think they lose to Georgia
That's at
pretty.
home.
I think they lose to Georgia easily, pretty handily.
Okay.
I think that's my opinion. That's my prediction.
All right.
South
They
Carolina.
beat South Carolina.
I think that they're going to beat South Carolina. So what is that, 6?
Yeah.
So
Then
that's 6.
nightmare at Neyland. The last time they play there, they lose. It's not. It could be another loss for Alabama.
Yeah.
What do you're on the fence?
I think Tennessee. I think Tennessee will probably take that game. Honestly, the Tennessee fan in me wants them to take it.
If Tennessee takes it, can they get back up against Missouri?
I mean, that's one of those games
They're
for
gonna have to.
Missouri. Like that's a big game for Missouri too.
They've got to, though. It's imperative that Alabama does not lose 2 straight going into LSU.
They have to go at least 2-1 is what I think.
I swear to God, if they lose to Tennessee and Missouri, 0-2 going into LSU, probably going to be a night game.
Mm-hmm.
They're staring at possibility of an 0-3 stretch. I can't believe it. This team doesn't even lose 3 games in 3 years.
I know. All right, I'm just gonna simplify it here. I think it's either going to be an 8-4 season or it's going to be a 9-3 season. I think it's one of those. It depends on how that stretch goes there in the middle.
There's what I wrote.
He wrote 9-3.
I did.
I don't think it's out of the question though to think that they could go 8-4.
Is it out of the question that they win 10 and get in the playoffs? Playoffs.
I think if they win 10 games that they have had an exceptional year. Do I think it's out of the question? No, not at all.
This is a prime example of what we were talking about earlier with the Missouri schedule.
Mhm.
Missouri may end up being 10-2, but not better than Florida, not better than Alabama.
Mhm.
But their record is going to be better
Their record will put them above them
because of the scheduling.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I could very easily see that happening. Very easily. Very, very strange times in the SEC for sure.
No. All right. Strange transition times in LSU. Last year, they win 9 games behind Coach Brian Kelly in his 3rd year. Out is Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback Jaden Daniels. And they're going to welcome in a new play caller, Joe Sloan, and quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Unknown. I don't think we're going to see as much running out of the QB position. They're going to lean on some more traditional play calls, and they have the running backs to get it done. Tight end Mason Taylor.
Yep.
The son of Jason Taylor.
Yep.
Going to play some key roles in 3rd and short and goal line situations. They still got plenty of talent.
They do. And I mean, last year, in my opinion, was kind of an anomaly year for them. I think Jaden Daniels produced more than I think really anybody could have predicted, right? Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal player. I think that he kind of really, much like Hendon Hooker did in 2022 for the Vols, kind of elevated that team ahead of schedule, so to speak. Not that they were going to do bad or anything. I just think it put them ahead of schedule, and they did well last year. They overachieved in my eyes, not because of lack of talent, just because I just didn't think that they were ready to do that just yet, with their coaching situation still being a little bit fresh. But we're looking at the schedule.
It looks so dumb to me. And I see USC and UCLA, and it says Conference Big Ten. That still looks funky to me, man.
Yeah.
Where did oh boy.
I mean, I think that as crazy as this is, I think LSU is one of those teams of all teams that could fly under the radar. I think they have a bunch of toss-up games that they could quietly win.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this USC. I think they're going to win this game. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they take UCLA 5-0 going into Ole Miss.
That'll be a game. Right there.
What a game going into the Ole Miss game in the Death Valley.
Yeah, if that's a night game, it's a win.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 wins for Arkansas. A&M, I think they take that.
That's the second.
That's a toss-up game, right?
Back-to-back roadies.
Right? Toss-up game, though. Right? Alabama. We got a toss-up game, in my
Wait
opinion.
a minute. Didn't they have to go to the swamp?
What's that?
They didn't go to the swamp after that.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? Then we got Oklahoma at the end of the year.
Are we saying 12-0
No,
for
No.
LSU?
I don't think so. This is, like I said, this is one of those teams. There could be absolute chaos in the SEC this year. This is another one of those teams. I've got them. It wouldn't surprise me if they were 9-3, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were 10-2.
Oh,
Would not surprise me.
would 6-6 surprise you?
Yeah, that would be
They're not going to win.
It would be grossly underachieving if they went 6-6.
Brian Kelly has, I'm going to admit it now, coming into his third year, underrated.
Hey,
by us.
I was one of those.
Underrated.
I was not a Brian Kelly guy, but look, man, he's doing it.
I mean, I'm going 10-2. I'm going to be bullish.
I'm
going to go on the
I
upside.
could very easily see that happening. Again, we could have 4 teams
Why
potentially
not?
at 10-2.
Why not? SEC teams deserve to be in the college playoff.
I agree.
And you even said some probably will deserve to be in it that just don't have enough wins,
Right.
aka Alabama.
Right. Has very little to do with anything other than just luck of the draw, quite honestly, with their schedules.
Yeah. We have another newcomer here, Texas Longhorns. Coach Sark, quarterback Quinn Ewers, 3,479 yards, 22 passing touchdowns. They have a huge September 7th matchup at Michigan. But welcome to the SEC. We're going to go through this schedule in just a moment. I think they can make some noise in SEC.
I do too. I think that they kind of came into the SEC at the perfect time in their school's kind of history because Sarkisian's got them clicking right now. They had a great year last year. Quinn Ewers is kind of poised to have, a fantastic season this year as a senior. I think that Quinn Ewers is going to kind of be the catalyst here. He could have potentially a Heisman type year. Wide receivers are strong here on this team. But do they lose focus somewhere in the middle? Do they lose it somewhere?
That's about the only place they could.
We got a stretch here with Oklahoma and Georgia.
Yeah.
Got a rivalry game, then we got Georgia. We're looking at all these other games. I don't really, from after Georgia, I don't see anybody that's really challenging.
God,
I really don't.
That's crazy. Oklahoma and Georgia back to back.
And honestly, I'm just not really sure that Michigan's going to put up much of a fight either against Texas. We'll see. They lost a lot to the draft, right? So we'll see. But I mean, all eyes are going to kind of be on week 6 and week 7 here for the Texas Longhorns. I've got them going 11-1 and going to the SEC championship.
I'm going 10-2, and they could be in the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be. 10-2, they're going to go to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. So do you have them losing both of these games, or do you think they just slip up somewhere?
I say they split. And I don't know if it's Georgia or Oklahoma. I mean, just looking at you would assume it's Oklahoma, but I don't want to. Georgia's not beyond getting a loss, in my mind.
I wouldn't.
We'll see.
I wouldn't say so either.
10-2 could get them into the SEC title game. It's definitely going to be good enough to get them into the college playoff.
For sure.
Georgia Bulldogs, the very last team, they won 12 games last year. We've already mentioned the question, can they win 3 natties in 4 years behind Coach Kirby Smart? They have quarterback Carson Beck returning after throwing for over 3,900 yards, 24 touchdowns, preseason All-America team number 1 quarterback. They added Trevor Etienne, running back. I've heard some podcasts say he's the best running back since the Nick Chubb. and they have a lot of running backs in their history.
Yep.
Should be
Got a couple good ones.
Yeah, a couple. Swift should have a very, very good defense again this year, even with having to replace 3 starters in their secondary. You were brave enough last year to pick Alabama to go 12-0. It's just hard for me to say they're going to win them all. But what do we see when we look at their schedule? Are we scared about Clemson?
No.
On the road at Alabama?
I don't think they're scared of Alabama at all.
At Texas?
I think their
Miss.
first real test is going to be Texas.
At Ole Miss.
I think Tennessee will play with them, but it's not like they'll pull away, I think. I think that most likely they're going 12-0. That's my call on them. I think there's a world where the Longhorns beat them, and maybe they switch. Maybe the Longhorns are 12-0, and maybe.
What happens if Clemson bites them? Like Florida State got bit, and they start off 0-1, and they're having to chase the rest of the
There's
year.
a world where that happens. I just don't think that Clemson will even be able to stay on the field past halftime with this team. I think Carson Beck will not play the second half because they'll be up so much. So
12.
I'm calling this a 12-0, and I got Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship.
I'm going 11-1, and I've got Georgia Bulldogs versus Ole Miss in the SEC title game.
Okay.
And really, it doesn't matter which one of them wins because they're both getting into the playoffs.
Right. And then we have just an absolute anarchy when it comes to the college football playoffs. It's going to be interesting this year, folks, because there's just so many different ways that this SEC thing could go. And there's a lot more open spots in the college football playoff this year that I mean, again, are you going to look at a bunch of 10 and 11 win SEC teams and tell them that they're not better than, an Ohio State team that plays a bunch of high school teams and then plays Michigan? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out on the field. It's going to be interesting, though. Newberry, this was a fun one. This one's always fun. We went over a little bit, but dude, I think this is the one that you guys want. Y'all want to hear what we think. Y'all want to tell us how stupid we are for saying some of the stuff we say.
Even we've said how stupid we were.
We're happy to admit it. Leave your comments down below. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Share it with all your friends. Give us a follow on all our social media. Newberry, you got any final thoughts?
Coach Napier. See ya.
He gone. He said he gone. All right. Well, I only have 3 letters for you. GBO.